Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of the G1 League Season 5 LAN Finals. I'm LD, I'm joined here by Blitz, and we're about to cast the Alliance versus RNG Sports. Both of these teams had a very powerful start on day 1. They're currently both 2-0 and sitting comfortably on top of the group, but they can't be too comfortable, Blitz, because only the top 4 teams advance, and you really want to finish first. That guarantees you a top 2 placement.
Yeah, true. And also, I think a lot of the Chinese and the Southeast Asian teams regard the Western scene as something of a class below them. So for a team like Orange, maybe this is something they're like, oh, we should win this. We should definitely win this.
We'll see. I mean, regardless of how the teams feel, it all comes down to what you can perform and what you can accomplish on the fields of Dota. With that being said, the game is ready to get underway. Let's hop inside the game. Let's get this show on the road. RNG Sports will be on the dire side, so if the Alliance have any sort of Roshan shenanigans plotted for level 1, I imagine they won't be looking to use them this game. But what else might they have up our sleeves? Or their sleeves? We'll just have to sit around to find out.
Yes, definitely. And off the bat, we see the Bat Rider ban. That's something.
And early Rubik ban. Respect towards Extinct.
Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit about the Bat ban, though, just because I think they ran it yesterday against Team Liquid. I don't think it's a hero that they run particularly well.
Yeah.
I mean, S4 will always do okay, but I think they'd prefer him to pick something, like what he's known for, a Puck, a Magnus, one of those game-changing teamfight heroes that he's so well known for. I
actually think S4 plays a really good bat. I think it's more, maybe it just doesn't suit their style as much, where they kind of like to go for more big, group up and fight lineups in the mid game, and that's where something like having a mag and a Puck, they're just going to offer you more than a Bat Rider in a lot of cases. But I definitely agree with you. I think that's more their comfort zone. This does suggest maybe they're setting up for a mag first pick here.
Yes, definitely. Or, it's also a respect ban. I mean, you don't want to give a Chinese or a Southeast Asian team a hero like Bat, just because they wreak havoc with that hero.
And one of our questions in the pre-show has now been answered. Wisp will be banned by RNG Sports. I love the ban. I think not banning it would be a huge mistake because Orange just don't run a great Wisp, and the Alliance do. So why let the hero through? Don't deal with it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably something that with their, oh wow, LD, you're a genius.
Well, they ban the Rubik, they respect Extinct and what he can do in Rubik, as well as just what Rubik can do in general against Magnus. They first pick Mag. This is going to leave the KYXY Lone Druid in the pool, and I think Alliance is saying, you're going to have to take it now, or we're getting that for Bulldog, and we have the S4 Mag, and that's going to be trouble.
Yeah, just one of those really strong heroes. In the past few days, actually, he hasn't been picked in the first 3. He's actually been banned in the latter stages of the game. I've noticed that being a trend, but Alliance, the European scene still does favor a hero like Mag. It is the ultimate. I mean, it's one of those heroes, if you're super far behind, the ult will always bring you back in.
I like this response from Orange. They're going to take one of the best combo carries for a Magnus in the Gyrocopter, and they get the Lone Druid. So they do go a bit carry heavy here to start. I mean, we've seen support Gyro, but not really too often from Orange. So it looks like a safe lane Gyro, most likely for Mushi. Certainly Mushi will be playing it. KYXY taking the Lone Druid. Could be off lane, could go mid. And if he does go mid, how do you feel Lone Druid actually matches up against a Magnus?
It does quite decently. I mean, Lone Druid will always do okay against everybody in a one-on-one scenario.
Right.
Just because it's really easy to, I mean, you get a hero and a half, essentially. Or maybe even better than that. It's really easy to deny with. It's really easy to harass somebody out of the lane. It does leave you a little susceptible to ganks, and setting up for ganks with the Lone Druid is a little difficult if you only rotate one support over.
And speaking of ganks, look at what the Alliance are going to pick up here. They go for the early Chen, so we thought maybe Orange would pick that up for Extinct. He has played it a lot in the past, probably the best jungle player in Southeast Asia, but it will be the Alliance who get their hands on it. That will go into Ake's capable claws, and I mean, now they have a strong pushing lineup as well with the Chen for Ake, with the with the Nature's Prophet for Admiral Bulldog. I even wanted to say Lone Druid even though it's on the other team. That's how much he plays the damn hero. But I like this, and I feel this is how you can maybe punish the Lone Druid if he goes mid, because now you have a Magnus who's decent at ganking, and Prophet can TP in and sprout him. Chen +1 can smoke there. It's going to be hard if the Lone Druid goes mid to avoid getting ganked.
Yeah, and even if he goes to the offlane, Chen and Nature's Prophet actually do really well against him, because if the Nature's Prophet ends up going in the long lane, like I assume he will this game, then if the Chen swings around to gank the Lone Druid, they can actually rotate the Nature's Prophet over, bring out the trees, and then just push the tower and then pressure him like crazy and not let him get any traction into the game.
Right. So what are we going to see the rest of the way? Orange, they'll go back for the Shadow Demon. This is sort of your premier support in Southeast Asia. If it's not the Rubik, it's going to be the Shadow Demon. So they get a strong defensive support, someone who can maybe deal with the Magnus when he jumps in looking for an RP. If you're quick with your disruption time, you could save an ally. You can disrupt the Magnus's timing. Pun not intended, but is there anyway. And the Alliance, Orange is known for, if they're not running a Chen or some sort of jungle hero, they'll often go dual roam. Not at level 1 so much, but from levels 3 to 5 or so. So banning the combo heroes for the Shadow Demon makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and actually I really like that Shadow Demon pickup as well for Orange. It does really well against a hero like Anti-Mage, which I know Loda really likes playing.
And they showed that yesterday with the Prophet Anti-Mage combo.
Exactly, so if you have something like that where, oh, I don't want to play against a split push like that, then you pick up a hero like Shadow Demon and it makes you think twice.
So, I mean, speaking of that Anti-Mage, sure, you have a Shadow Demon. Maybe they'll still go for it anyway. It's still very strong just with a Prophet on the team because it's so hard to keep the lanes pushed out. Orange do have decent counter push. They'll ban the AM, so they pick Shadow Demon, and then they still respect what Loda can do with the Anti-Mage. So I think it's a good time to talk about Loda's heroes right now. What do you see left in the pool that would match up well against what Orange have?
I mean, he does pretty well with heroes like Luna, where they can push early. I've seen them run Juggernaut a few times. I mean, any of the early game heroes that... he has a pretty decent range of heroes, Loda.
Yeah, I mean, the Luna obviously goes really well with a pushing composition and with a Magnus. Those two together are very strong. I guess my one concern is you're up against the Lone Druid and a Shadow Demon, so Disruption Illusions as well as the Bear can make Eclipse very ineffective. Plus, the Bear is naturally high armor, so, I mean, how much is that damage going to do remains to be seen, but it is definitely an option, something they've run in the past. I'm trying to think what other heroes we've seen from Loda lately. I mean, we've seen the Faceless Void from him on occasion with something like Magnus. Do you think this is a game where you'd want to go for it? I guess it's been a while.
It has been a little while, and if the Shadow Demon's actually positioned really well, it's really difficult for Void to do anything, as all he has to do is wait outside, and then chrono whoever the Faceless Void goes on, if Void gets something like a BKB, and if Void doesn't, then you can just chrono him, and it makes it difficult, but...
So looking at Orange now, they have two very strong solos, and the Gyrocopter, well, not the best solo, but certainly a suitable and decent one, especially if he's pulled, can do quite well against something like Nature's Prophet in the offlane. You have a Lone Druid who could well go mid, and then that leaves you with the option to go aggressive tri-lane. And Alliance, seeing this and seeing the fact that they have a Lone Druid on the side of Orange, they don't want to deal with the Healing Ward and the Bear. They also don't want to deal with the Shadow Demon plus Juggernaut tri-lane, so they're going to ban the Juggernaut now. A smart ban.
Yes, and Alliance actually, with the picks that they have right now, it's kind of set up for a Mag going mid for S4 most likely. Ake going to be playing that Chen in the jungle, and Nature's Prophet in the long lane, so what Alliance really needs right now is another a hard support.
Something like the EGM Windrunner, perhaps?
Yeah, even something like that. Or, and they need a carry. And conversely for Orange, they have a little bit more flexibility in that they'll probably pick up another support, and if Lone Druid goes to the offlane and Gyro goes mid, then they need at least another carry, or another hero that, you know, is a little farm reliant.
I'm just going to double check my audio because I was a little nervous. Looks like we should be good. So, Spectre ban. Wow.
Yeah, that was a hero we saw, was it LGD pick up against IG, actually?
Yeah, I didn't feel like the Spectre, it actually, you talked about how it can work really well against Tinker and Prophet. I thought the game was already over before the Spectre even mattered.
Yeah, it actually was, but I mean, it's still a pretty good hero. I know Alliance has shown the ability to run it as well. I know Loda has spoken to the fact that since the Haunt change, it's actually quite a good hero. Yeah,
AUI was talking about that a lot as well. Your Haunt illusions move at 400 MS, even once you just use Haunt, so they're very hard to get away from. He also was mentioning that Dispersion, or rather, Desolate, works on illusion, so you get a Manta style. Oftentimes you can even, the old build used to be go Radiance, kind of Rice and farm up for ultra late game, but going things like Diffusal Blade, Manta style, very strong, and you could be high impact fairly early, even something like Drums to start the game off.
Yeah, and it looks like Orange is just kind of banning out those mobile carries, and actually all the carries essentially that are difficult to kill. I mean, Void gets banned out, that's the hero we just discussed. They got rid of all the melee heroes, so anything that would work with Magnus is
There are things like Sven in the pool. I mean, but you're up against a Shadow Demon and a Lone Druid, so that's going to be tough. You can be purged, you can be tangled, you even be slowed by the Gyro ultimate through BKB. What other carries are there if they want to go? They don't have to go for a melee hero, but those are some of the obvious choices. So go for the AGM Windrunner here. I like this pick because it's one of the harder to kill supports, and Alliance could very well be up against an aggressive tri-lane. Windrunner being more defensive in nature, but also good at kind of trading blows, fits in well.
Yes, most definitely. And I'm actually really curious to see what kind of carry Alliance picks up. I mean, Orange smartly banning out all those heroes that also can pick up a Manta. That's something that should be noted, which works pretty well against the Bear. I mean, you get rooted and then you split.
Yeah.
And also the Empower, obviously, that works really well in conjunction with all three of those heroes.
There is a Dragon Knight. That's a hero we've seen. Loda has in the past played a one-position Dragon Knight. It's also something Orange has played occasionally if they wanted to. They could run a Dragon Knight solo mid, a Lone Druid safe lane, and tri-lane the Gyrocopter. That would be a tri-core. I feel for Orange like they do want to be aggressive with the tri-lane though, because you're up against the jungle Chen, you're up against an off-lane Prophet who may end up in the jungle. If you don't run an aggressive tri-lane, then you're giving that Chen and Prophet a lot of space.
Yes, definitely. But at the same token, if you don't pressure the Chen well enough, or if you don't do
really
anything,
backfire.
and then the Nature's Prophet can rotate down, and all of a sudden you have a 4-on-3 situation.
And out of all the Chen players that we've seen, I mean, we see a lot of strong players in the Western Eastern scene. I think Ake is the best Chen player at dealing with aggressive tri-lanes because it happens to Alliance all the time. So many times teams try to go aggressive against his Chen, EGM's Windrunner, and he finds a way to kind of balance his farm as well as put pressure on the enemy tri-lane, and most importantly, doesn't really get picked off. So I think, although Orange probably wants to go aggressive, Ake, if anyone can deal with it, it will be him.
Yeah, and Windrunner actually a really good support for this, as you stated, and you actually correctly predicted 2 of these picks so far for Alliance.
They're Alliance, man. I mean, this is where maybe they're not going to run a pocket strat. Maybe they just feel they can beat Orange in a straight-up game.
Yeah, and they actually have a lot of their comfort heroes, so to speak. I mean, Bulldog.
Oh, how did we forget the Phantom Assassin? God damn it! I knew we were forgetting something, Blitz. It's okay though.
We missed. I was like, we're missing one carry here.
I was thinking. I was like, it's eating away at me. I don't want to talk about it too much because I can't remember. But yeah, the load of PA, something we've seen a lot of in the past. And talk to me a little bit more about why they like this hero so much, because almost nobody else runs it.
I mean, I think they really like the crit mechanic. Just, you know, if you land a crit, you win the fight. But the hero itself is actually quite strong as well, especially if you can protect her farm early enough. Once you pick up an item like BKB, man, is she strong. And then on top of that, with the Empower, I mean, we obviously knew they were going to go for something like a melee carry.
Right.
And Orange knew that as well, but there's only so many bans that you can take out.
The other nice thing about PA is you can farm from a distance with your Stifling Dagger, and if they go on you, you have an escape mechanism. It's not as good as Anti-Mage's Blink, but pretty strong defensively.
Yeah. Plus, you can actually close the gap on a hero like Lone Druid really easily. I mean, Anti-Mage and Void both work because if the Lone Druid, if a good Lone Druid player is playing it, then he just puts the bear in front of him, and then it's difficult to close that distance. But with a hero like Phantom Assassin, once you've got a BKB, you just dagger him and then blink on top of him.
So they'll finish this off with that a KYXY Queen of Pain. Well, that's unusual if we're going to see it. Ohio on the Lone Druid. I think they're going to be swapping some heroes here because generally you do expect Mushi to be playing the Queen of Pain, if anything. We will see, though. Maybe they're just going to go for a bit of a switcheroo. KYXY normally the 3-position player, normally going off lane. Ohio normally going mid. Mushi normally taking the 1-position role in the safe lane. But that remains to be seen for the Alliance. They have a Chen. They have a Prophet. They're going to want to play pretty defensively through this early part of the laning stage, at least in terms of against the tri-lane. They'll more want to react, but maybe if it's that solo mid Lone Druid, that's where we could see, say, like a level 4 or 5 smoke gank from the Chen and the Windrunner, and the Prophet TPs in, try and find a kill.
Yeah, that's something that Orange really has to be wary of. Wherever that Chen goes, the Nature's Prophet and the Windrunner are soon to follow. And there's actually a lot of synergy with that, just because they have so many summons just to tank the towers and push early. I mean, something we don't talk about very often, but the Sprout plus Shackle mechanic, it's a free Shackle every time.
On the side of the Alliance, we've got S4. Many have called him the best solo mid in the West, certainly up there in the conversation. He'll be taking his Magnus to the middle lane, and oh boy, has he won a lot of games with big RPs for this team in the past. Then we've got Ake on his signature Chen. He's been playing this since before you were born. Loda on the Phantom Assassin, a new hero that he's sort of brought into the pool of carry heroes. Something that Loda's really known for is introducing new heroes as carries, and he's been pretty strong in this one in the past. EGM taking the Windrunner, heading for the time being towards the top rune. Generally, they do run a defensive tri-lane. I doubt he'll be in the lane there, but probably just going to place a ward, scout out the rune. Bulldog at the base for the time being as that Nature's Prophet. And that's the Alliance. Blitz, go ahead, introduce Orange for me.
We have Extinct, right, playing the Shadow Demon. Mushi going to be playing that Gyrocopter, which I'm really excited to see. Net with the Domino Steam icon, going to be playing that Sand King.
Sponsor this man. They love their dominoes.
Seriously, I can get behind that.
I didn't even know they had it in
wait, they
Malaysia.
just killed the Courier?
Oh my god.
Did they actually just snipe? Did you hear that?
Dyer's Courier. Oh, did Bulldog just kill it?
I just heard Dyer's Courier has been killed.
Yeah, let's see if we can find out where it died.
I don't think Bulldog did. He has Nature's Call level 1. Where could it have died?
We have analysts here.
There's no...
Nobody saw this.
Did nobody... What just happened? Because he didn't TP. So does that mean they brought out... Oh, God. Okay, I don't actually know what's going on. And Ohio going to be playing that Lone Druid, and KYXY playing that Queen of Pain.
Jesus Christ. I have no idea what happened.
Oh, the Treants at top lane killed it.
Why was the Courier there? I'm so confused.
Things, I guess.
Well, that's a gimme.
That's huge boon to them.
That's not a good way to start this game if you're Orange.
No, it just gave everybody so much gold to work with.
Yeah, off the bat, Bulldog's going to pretty much have Arena Basilius right away if he wants to go for it. That's going to be tough for him. S4 will have a very fast bottle. In fact, he's already got the bottle. We're only 30 seconds into the game. So KYXY, well, this was generally a matchup Queen of Pain does well in, but now we'll have his work cut out for him quite a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the Magnus actually trades farm quite well, and the difficult thing is getting that bottle initially, just because he gets Shadow Dagger spammed. But now, because, or Shadow Strike, sorry. But now, I mean, with the Courier kill, he's got a bottle already, LD.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, and I mean, S4 is taking a lot of harassment early, but he could just start bottle crowing, and Nature's Prophet in the off lane isn't going to need the courier. Ake's actually in the top lane for the time being. Ohio is going to spot things out, playing the safe lane low druid. Again, it's something normally KYXY plays. Ake's going to come in, looking for a clap. Bulldog auto-attacking as well. The tower is focusing Bulldog for the time being. The clap is there. Alliance are going to strike first. No, where's that last auto-attack? The bear is blocking him. It won't matter. Ake wanted to give it to Admiral Bulldog, but he says, well, you got body block. I'm going to take it. That's a big first blood. Lone Druid being shut down. Normally here they can do really well against Nature's Prophet in the safe lane, but a courier snipe and now a first blood. The Alliance are rolling already.
Yeah, and Loda's actually doing the smart thing here, just spamming Stifling Dagger, which is something that all the other carriers that we saw, you know, they don't have a long-range farming mechanism, whereas...
Oh, they're going to try to go on him now. Can they get him rain? The disruption is there from the sidelines. Comes Extinct. The Burrow Strike comes through. The barrage on top of it. Can Loda blink away? He will blink to EGM. There's no follow-up just yet. That's the power of a PA against an offensive tri-lane, is you've always got the blink to worry about, and actually has a very long range, even at level 1. Yeah,
and EGM playing that so smartly. He runs forward, and then wind runs all 3 of them, because as you know, it also slows the heroes around them, and he's able to get away with that.
Yeah, and of course, Loda really using the range of blink to its maximum effectiveness. They're running a dual lane, and it's very hard to kill either of these heroes, because EGM has wind run, Loda has blink strike, and generally when they run this against tri-lanes, they don't get much farm on Loda early, but the key thing is, he doesn't die and he gets levels, and then they catch up later.
Yeah, and I'm really liking this decision of Ake to start top. It was really unexpected. We thought that, you know, they were going to just contest the tri-lane with their own, with one in the jungle, but it was a free kill off the bat. Just the clap was needed. And Ohio's going to have a really tough time now. I mean, he doesn't have a courier, which doesn't hurt him too much, but the gold given away...
Oh, here comes Bulldog. He's going to backstab him with the trance. They already used the clap. It looks like Ohio might escape, but no, there's no boots on Ake. He's just outrunning him for the time being. There's your test of faith as well. Are the trance going to surround him? Ohio's still on the run. He'll barely get away, but he is getting nothing out of this lane. Meanwhile, the Alliance are doing a lot of work to the tower. It's already lost about a third of his HP. Middle lane, S4, taking the fight to KYXY. He's constantly bottle crowing. He's got the boots. Everything is going well for the Alliance, aside from the fact that Loda's not farming much, but even so, he's got 6 creeps. Not too shabby.
Yeah, 6 creeps versus 14, especially since he's being pressured so much, and these 2 supports, look at their levels, LD. Sand King just hit 2. Extinct is still level 1, and he's barely got any experience out of that.
You run this tri-lane, you expect to get kills. You have tons of burst damage. Chen's not even near the lane. Oftentimes, that's where Ake will be, is just supporting the defensive tri-lane. Or what would be a defensive tri-lane with him there. He's not. He's actually top, shutting down the Lone Druid. Middle lane is going very well for our Magnus. S4 isn't dominating the lane. He's actually a bit behind in terms of CS, but he's still getting a lot, considering it's a Magnus versus Queen of Pain. You're not supposed to win this lane.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lane, though, that you can break somewhat even in, as Shockwave is so cost-efficient mana-wise, for you just to spam, and then, you know, you pick up your bottle, and then you just bottle crow. But the fact that he was able to, they were able to pick off the courier even earlier, and then like get a bottle at like the 10-second mark, it puts them so far ahead.
Illusion.
Wow, for the time being, it looks like Ohio's missing a Spirit Bear here. It's actually just died. And I also want to point out, he walked all the way back to the base to interact with the courier. He's very worried about it getting sniped again. KYXY maybe thinking about a go on S4. S4 only level 4, so if you can get level 6 before his RP, that will be an opportunity to strike, unless there's support in tow. And I do want to do a teleport scroll check, and don't have any yet on the Alliance, but I imagine EGM may look to pick one up around the time the Queen of Pain hits 6.
Definitely. It's something KYXY, you know, he hasn't had the best start because of the bottle thing, but he's still doing an admirable job.
I mean, he's still winning the lane. It's just you want him to win a lot harder than this when you run the Queen of Pain mid, because Mag's going to bring more to the team fights, having a lot of lockdown and, of course, having more crowd control. But S4 is low. If he's not careful, he could die here.
Yeah, and he's actually just going to back up, fully bottle. I mean, he's got a 4-charge wand, so I think he can bait a little bit. I mean, KYXY has actually just picked up a ton of items, LD. He's got a Null Talisman, boots, and
none of it with him, though. He really wants those items before he goes for this dive.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's going to wait for the level 6, which he is now. But Bulldog, or not Bulldog, S4 has actually got full almost everything. And he's got that wand to back him up, so he should just be fine.
Yeah, S4 playing pretty defensively for the time being, and it looks like, well, they might go in here. Chen Centaur is going to lead the way. Mushi says, I want the Centaur kill. There aren't any points in shackle shots. They're even going to burrow strike to get the Centaur kill, but that means they have to disengage now. Loda's going to jump in, throws out an auto attack. Not really trying to commit fully to this fight, just doing what he can. So how is our Lone Druid doing? This is pretty bad. Bulldog already treads and Arena Basilius up, and Ohio has 6 CS. I haven't seen a Lone Druid shut down this hard in the safe lane in a long time. And Blitz, you've talked about this a lot. When you run an aggressive tri lane, it's largely so that your safe lane solo does well. If it doesn't, that really screws you.
Yeah, you're actually trying to win 3 lanes here, because if you anticipate your bottom lane or your offensive tri lane getting kills, that means the 2 supports can rotate, and you should also stick a really safe short lane farmer up there, which can win. And Lone Druid, you know, he fits that mold perfectly. But Alliance correctly predicting, you know, the lanes, and then they send Ake up there actually to deal with it early. And Lone Druid, before he hits level 5, can't actually do anything to prevent dives.
There is an Invis rune on net right now. He's roaming around through the jungle trying to contest this pull. They might be able to find something on EGM, who just has money for his boots now, but hasn't bought them yet. Net's going to come in. Actually blocking the creeps as EGM noticed this. Doesn't look like it. Oh, that he may get caught here. They get a burrow strike. They're getting close. The burrow will come through. Patience. And then the delivery of a lot of damage. They get a much-needed kill. Are they going to go on Ake now? Ake's manning up. The Tornado's bringing the Shadow Demon low. He'll probably go down. Loda looking for more. S4's teleported in. He'll kill off Net. And on the back lines, the Shadow Demon goes down. A quick and decisive reaction from the Alliance. They give up their support Windrunner, but they get 2 in return. Loda gets gold. Loda gets experience, and so does Ake.
Yeah, definitely. A really good trade. I mean, 2 for 1. We can't understate that. And Bulldog can actually rotate bottom without any issue because, I mean, look at Ohio at top. He's only he just hit level 5. The lane is pushed in. This was the perfect time for him to TP down.
The other great thing is that S4 didn't use RP, so he still got it. If they go again, he can TP in that time he could drop it. Also, I want to point out KYXY didn't have a teleport scroll. It was actually on its way to him. And we're going to see the Mushi build from him. Something that Mushi loves to do to snowball his Queen of Pain mid is build multiple null talismans. And KYXY, oh, he'll throw out a scream there. Not ready to go just yet, but you build these now because you really want to dominate the lane and start finding kills and basically just crush from there. If you're not finding them, though, this is going to slow down your next more important items.
Yeah, and Bulldog actually so farmed. Look at his, look at the CS right now. He's got 52 right now on an off-lane Nature's Prophet. And Loda actually isn't too bad. He's got 23, which is a little bit but considering the fact that they were able to shut down the Lone Druid's farm early, it was definitely worth it.
They've rotated several heroes towards the middle lane, perhaps worried about that go on S4. Speaking of S4, well, he's up to 1,200 gold. I mean, generally we see the arcane boots. We'll see if he buys them now. Kurt is headed to the secret shop, so not going to rush a Blink Dagger. He'll go the safe way. He'll get the arcanes, and this does free up Ake. If he wants to rush a mechanism, he could. It won't be the fastest one, but they're going to dive bottom. They go for Loda. There's your Soul Catcher to start things off. Can they get the disruption? Burrow could be here from net. He's cornered. He's surrounded. He will go down. There is a Prophet ultimate. They're all trapped behind this tower. They're quite low. Mushi teleports back to the base. He's just going to retreat all the way out. KYXY makes a foray there as well. So while this is happening, the Alliance doesn't really get a whole lot. They're just jungling.
Yeah, and actually they're going to go on top, I think.
Up, teleport comes in from Bulldog, but nice reaction from Ohio, able to run away just in time. So they've rotated EGM off of that tri-lane. I guess they feel that Loda doesn't need too much now, or maybe S4 and Ake can protect him. They want to get some levels on this Windrunner.
Definitely, and he's actually had a really hard time because it was a dual lane he wasn't able to pull, because if he's not there for Loda to blink towards or just to save with the Windrun slow again,
yeah, then Loda dies. So that's the other trade-off, and we'll take a look at the gold graph now. About 1,000 gold lead for the Alliance, considering they got a First Blood and a Courier. Not that big of a lead. A 1,500 experience lead, that's decent, not overwhelming. So despite how this game started, Orange is actually handling themselves pretty damn well. I guess I'd be more concerned about the mid-game, though. Once you see the Blink Dagger come out on S4, maybe the mechanism on either the Bulldog Prophet. No, he's going Midas, so it looks like it will be Ake who builds the mech event.
Oh, Loda mid. They're actually baiting him out.
Oh, Loda, is he going to bait well enough, though? He jumps in. He's going to pay for it, so they do get the Queen of Pain. I think KYXY bottling up, not able to live. They do find the kill there, but is that really worth it? You just devoted 4 heroes to killing off a Queen of Pain, and you lost your carry. Gotta say, it's not for me.
No, definitely not. And S4 actually could have saved him, I think, there, with if he had hit that clutch skewer. But he actually moves around him, just missing that. And that was actually a really smart attempt by Alliance. They knew that Orange was going to try to go on that PA mid with KYXY, but just a little bit of an execution fail.
Loda's gone for phase boots, and I imagine generally what we see from him is things like the Ring of Aquila, the early drums. He prefers kind of the stats-heavy, cheap item build, doesn't rush something like a BKB in general. We'll often see the Yasha, the mid style, and then PA just becomes a ridiculous chaser. But, I mean, for the time being, Blitz, we've settled down a bit. We see Loda goes down, and how do you feel about the way this game's developing? You look at Alliance, they already have a Midas up on Bulldog. I think he picked it up. It looks like about 30 seconds ago was his first usage. So around a 10-minute Midas, he didn't rush it. He's been a contributor. They have a PA. They have strong late game if the Empower's there. They don't have their mech yet, but they're getting close. How do you feel about their shot compared to Orange, who have a little bit more in terms of carry?
I'm actually a little worried right now for Alliance. I mean, Bulldog does have a lot of farm, but Midas isn't an item that you see pay off until a bit later. Loda actually has nothing. All he has is phase boots, whereas Mushi's actually had quite a decent time. He's going to pick up drums anytime now if he decides to go for that route.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Gyro does a lot more in the early fights than a PA. Is underrated as far as her early to mid-game impact, but she's no Gyro.
Yeah, definitely. Alliance is a team that really needs their farm. S4 nowhere near that Blink Dagger, which isn't too surprising considering his lane. He's against a Queen of Paint, playing really up.
Well, it doesn't have his ultimate, otherwise I think would have gone for a kill there. RP, well, it's about to cool down. Actually, there is a haste on S4, so maybe not. But, I mean, you look at this tri-lane, they're leaving Loda here. He's getting what CS he can, but he's only at 30 CS. You compare that to the Lone Druid who gave up first blood. Ohio's up to 46, and he'll be rushing an armlet. And the nice thing for Lone Druid, well, he doesn't really need that many big items to have an impact. Once the armlet's out, the phase boots are out, can start to put some pressure. KYXY, Micro in his treads, heading towards the top lane and looking for a kill here. I think we'll see a teleport in from our Sandcane as well. Bulldog, well, he could be in trouble unless he backs off. Looks like he will. Meanwhile, haste on S4, heads towards the bottom lane. He's got RP. If he finds a kill here, it could be big. There's a dire ward spotting him out. Will he get in range in time? He's still lumbering forward. He won't in the end. So both teams, a lot of movement, not many kills.
Yeah, I really like that ward by Orange. They actually have 2 to spot people coming in for the tri-lane. That's a really
one of them
decision.
just died, but yeah, they had 2.
Yeah, and actually they rotate the Sand King top. Net's waiting at top, and that was actually a really nice TP as well because, I mean, the supports haven't gone top at all this game, so it was just like a, misdirection of sorts.
You let him get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
so you're thinking to yourself, oh, Ohio's actually just going to be there alone by himself the entire time, and then he TPs in, but he was wisely spotted by the creeps.
And now they're going to work on the tower. Phase boots are on the bear. Double boots on the bear. Actually, Ohio has none on his own hero. The micro doesn't really seem the best from him. I got to say, we saw the one decent body block earlier. He's dropping the phase boots on the ground. He's sending the bear into the trees. I think finally he'll get the boot situation sorted out. He's got the phase boots on his hero. Actually would like to have the Helm of Iron Will on the bear, so it's a little bit tankier. But nonetheless, he's working on the tower. No reaction for the time being. Middle lane. Oh, KYXY, this would be a big solo kill. S4 is able to skewer him up. He's already used RP. It looks like he went for KYXY with that. Wasn't able to find it. They force a TP in from EGM. That means an easy tier 1 top. Orange just seeming to... It seems like they're getting the better trades here. And the Alliance, normally the team that sets the tempo, are the ones reacting.
Yeah, the beginning went really well for them, picking off that courier, being able to get that kill top. But ever since then, really smart warding makes it so that Ake's been a bit limited this game.
Bottom lane, Mushi sprouted up, now surrounded, netted as well. Ake wants to bring him low, but he's so tanky because he went for the phase, the drums, as well as the Aquila. Lots of HP, lots of mobility. A blink in from Loda. Can they finish the job? The Hand of God even necessary to secure the kill, but they do get it. A secondary sprout. No tangos on Extinct. This is going to be 2 going the way of the Alliance. So Orange, they had a powerful little spree there, but the Alliance start to put it into it with those kills.
Yeah, okay, patiently not trying to force anything and instead playing reactively now. I think in the beginning, they weren't able to find anything, especially with the lineup they have, LD. Not a whole lot of reliable stuns or disables.
Yeah.
But now they're playing a reactive style of Dota and they're doing a good job. What I'd really like to see is S4 try to get an RP off. I mean, so far it's been a little unsuccessful for kills. They did get that one time on KYXY, but wasted so far, but it's coming back up in 17 seconds.
It's kind of a tricky game when you don't have the Blink Dagger, because Queen of Pain can really... She's hard to get on, basically. You don't have a setup stun. You have to go first in a lot of cases. Obviously, a hero like Gyro, who's gone phase drums, has high base move speed, 315 at level 1. Very hard to get on top of him. And the Lone Druid isn't going to be near the fight, and you have something like Shadow Demon to disrupt. It's a hard game for S4, I guess is the point, until he has the Blink. And even then, a lot rides on him. So as we head towards the mid-game blitz, I agree with you. I think that's a great point. They don't have many reliable stuns. A lot of it's going to come down to things like Shackle Shot. You do have Sprout to maybe set up a nice Shackle, but that puts more pressure on EGM as well to make his stuns count.
Yeah, and Orange actually has a really intelligent lineup here. Picking 2 really they have independent solos.
Bottom lane, Loda's in trouble. Extinct's trying to man up on him. He's got 3 stacks of poison. Where's the 4th? The Shackle won't latch that look. Oh, actually it will. It just didn't get the animation there for a second. Now Mushi in trouble as well. Orange, this is going to be the second time in the past 2 minutes they've overextended. They give up another 2 kills. Mushi dies as well, and worse, they don't get Loda.
Yeah, he's actually going to live, and I mean, he's got a Bracer now. He's got a Ring of Bassi. He's actually got a decent amount of farm now, considering how bad the early game was. And Mushi, he does have the farm advantage, but that's 2 times he's died without getting too much farm.
Doesn't it feel like Orange isn't really playing their lineup correctly? They have 3 strong late game heroes. A Queen of Pain, a Lone Druid, and then a Gyrocopter. They were getting farm on all of them. Do they really need to force the issue this much? I mean, sure, maybe Magnus gets his Blink Dagger a bit sooner. Maybe the PA has a bit more farm. But end of the day, Orange's lineup can go very late. I wouldn't say that the Alliance has a clear advantage there by any stretch.
No, definitely not. And with the lineup that they have, I mean, they have a Queen of Pain and a Lone Druids, two really independent heroes that you don't really need a gank for or create pressure for. They're also really difficult to kill, so the supports actually don't have to do too much in terms of rotating, just because, as we noticed, Alliance doesn't have a whole lot in the way of reliable stuns. So it's not too important for you to defend those two heroes. And they were doing a good job of just devoting farm, trying to protect Mushi at bottom with all those wards, and leaving both the supports down, and I think it's a bad thing for them to get aggressive like this.
It's a parade towards Admiral Bulldog. They're going to go with Extinct first. They want to get that disruption off. They will. Soul Catcher is going to connect. The Burrow Strike will follow. Bulldog surrounded. So much for his Warcraft 3 surrounds. He'll be the victim of one. Now, actually, he's used
is he going to live?
Shadow Amulet. Is he going to get away? He is going to escape. Bulldog, Dota, how does he live? I don't even know. There was no epicenter there, otherwise he would have died.
That was insane. He smartly pops the Shadow Amulet, and Orange isn't ready for that, and then he TPs out. I think that's the first time that I've seen Shadow Amulet not just get somebody killed.
Second one for me. It has a really long fade time, 2.6 seconds before you go invis. Great patient play from Bulldog. Pops it immediately, lives. Wow, that's not something you see every day. That's not something that should happen. A Blink, a Skewer. No, S4 realized he wasn't quite far enough forward. Isn't even going to bother in the end.
Yeah, and if you devote that many heroes to not getting a kill like that and representing
now he's going to skewer it anyway. He wanted to RP. Nope, he gets sent back.
I think he was actually trying to skewer him. Can you do that? If you get sent back and then you skewer somebody, it'll take them back to base?
Yeah, like a punch.
Yeah, it looks like that's what they were actually going for with that timing.
There's your pocket strategy. The Alliance, even when they draft Standard, doesn't mean they're going to play Standard.
Definitely not, and that was actually really neat to potentially watch there for a second. And S4 is going to pick up his Blink Dagger as well now, so expect to see some plays out of him, and it's going to be really difficult for Orange to continue this aggression, especially in the face of a mag RP.
Yeah, they've been a little bit overzealous here, forcing the fights a lot. I liked the smoke gank on the Prophet, but just diving that tier 1 bottom earlier, really going all in to try and pick off Loda. And as soon as the Blink Dagger comes up for S4, here we go. S4 smoked up with Ake in tow. He's got a decent arsenal of creep. Shackle Shot not going to last. They'll drop the RP anyway. They'll skewer KYXY back into a net, into a clap, and down he goes. Good news for Oranges, they are pushing out the bottom lane, or the top lane at least, but all things considered, that's exactly what the Doctor ordered for the Lions. Now, they're going to look to push the tower mid.
Yeah, and actually a zoning call down over here, but Ake's actually picked up his mech, and he's 5-0-3 LD. He's just done such a good job this game. He hasn't wasted his time trying to force ganks. He's actually just farmed a lot of the time where he realizes, you know, Mushi's really well protected, I can't really do much. Let me just farm this mech, and I'll be useful in a different way.
Yeah, Mushi's going for a Shadow Blade of his own. He's picked up a Shadow Amulet, not going for something like a BKB, not going straight towards a Manta style. He's just going to rush a Shadow Blade. What do you think of this? It's more of a split-pushing kind of map control item. I just feel like against the Alliance, they're so good at reactionary Dota, and they're also good at just choosing moments to spring traps on you. I would prefer to see more of a combat-oriented build myself.
It would be okay, but I think Mushi's a player that likes to do stuff by himself. You know, I'll try to make plays happen, and this is an item that
it suits his style.
That.
I guess my question is, does it suit the game?
It's not the worst thing for the game. I mean, it does greatly increase his DPS if you just go for a straight-out BKB, and they're actually going to jump on him right here.
Crit off the bat. The crit Lord Loda, he finds two. Now a net, and Mushi is going to drop again. Who needs RP?
That's why you get PA.
Who needs stuns? If you get the crits like that, he doesn't even have items. I mean, come on. Phase boots, drums, doesn't matter. Blows up the gyrocopter with ease. Definitely. And they're going to smoke again. Orange really starting to press the issue here.
Ake.
Can they find Ake? Where's that Chen micro? He doesn't get it off in time. Now the Queen of Pain ult even tossed through. Boy, they really wanted that kill. They also want these Chen creeps, and it looks like they should get them, cleaning up at least two. They scatter to the four corners of the earth, and in the end, a lonely Satyr Tormentor will prevail. But good news for the Alliance. They're going to push this top lane. They're going to force some TP reactions. Bulldog actually goes back in. He's got a Shadow Blade. He feels confident with S4 waiting with an RP. Maybe can force a fight here, thinking, are they going to go? Sand King's all the way behind the tower, but S4 breaks in, finds him in the tree, skewers him back out, pile drives him into Bulldog. Bulldog says, thanks for the gold, my friend. Now gets entangled. Shadow Blades, they do still have the vision, but they will be forced back for the time being. So they get the tier 1 anyway. Now the bear shackled to a tree, and while this is happening, Lotus farming bottom. Now the score 11-4. Still very even. Only a 250 gold lead for the Alliance, and or for the Dire side, in fact. 6,000, 7,000 experience lead. That's the big difference. Now a missile from Gyro going on to Loda. Loda doesn't have a BKB. He doesn't have a Chen nearby. They're coming to try and save him, but the missile's going to connect. Are they going to chase? No, they'll back off.
Yeah, not a whole lot of mana by KYXY. He actually only had 60 left, so they opt to back out. And actually, Alliance is being out-farmed quite heavily. I mean, that's just because since the beginning, that was really weird. But the Lone Druid had a really bad start, but ever since then, he's been left alone. I mean, it was one of those things, oh, we pressured him early, now we can leave him alone, but Bulldog's been around the map. So he's been able to just kind of farm up there by himself.
Yeah, Ohio, the gentle giant, he's been doing decently in terms of CS. I mean, considering the start he had, certainly, but I mean, how close is he to that next big item? He's got a Hyperstone now, still a long way off from an Assault Cuirass, and this is a game where Assault Cuirass is absolutely essential because you're up against the PA with Empower. You need every bit of armor you can get.
Yeah, definitely. And Mushi's actually picked up... He's going to have a Shadow Blade any minute now. I'd assume he's got the money for it. And he actually picks up a Java... Okay, no. There you go. He picks up the Claymore, so now he's got the Shadow Blade a little later than I would have expected, but he does have drums as well.
I'm just not sure how well it's going to work. The Alliance is a team that will get a gem fairly early. They're always going to carry Sentry Wards. S4 is kind of good at anticipating his opponent's movements, and you have a Prophet who can carry Dust. If Mushi's off pushy by himself, is this Shadow Blade going to help him live? I'm not sure. It is still a decent DPS item, so just getting it for the damage isn't bad, but, I mean, you get shackled, you get RP'd in a fight, now you're definitely going to blow up. Yeah, so Mushi will have to farm for a while. It looks like Orange really want to take this towards the late game, and I think they have it a pretty decent shot if it goes late enough. Sure, there's RP, but you get late enough, Queen of Pain, Gyro, and Lone Druid are all heroes you have to worry about, and, I mean, that's where you need your Scythe of Vice on Admiral Bulldog. Does have his ultimate orb up. Not that close to the full package yet, though, and Orange is actually going to go Roach. Can the Alliance contest this? Do they even know about it?
I think the positioning is a little off. I mean, EGM's starting to rotate now, but I don't... Okay, now the ping goes off, so they know it's up. But I think there's a DD on KYXY.
Yeah,
so they're going to take this really quickly. They need to rotate now, but I think it's way too late.
Good positioning. Ohio's actually up on the top of the hill. They're going to sneak a Roach. That dire advantage being used against the Alliance. We saw them use it in their favor versus DK quite a bit. Mushi the one to pick it up. So now, well, now he can be a bit more aggressive split pushing, perhaps. We'll see, though. We've seen Gyros get an Aegis and then promptly die twice without magic immunity. So they'll still have to be fairly careful, but with this, it allows Orange to angle more towards the late game. They're not that far off from a Scythe of Vice on KYXY. He'll probably have his around the same time as Bulldog, and you get a Scythe of Vice on Queen of Pain, you get your next item on the Gyro, like a BKB, or maybe even just go straight Butterfly, Helm of the Dominator, Manta Style, whatever you want to go for, then you really start to pack a punch.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Orange actually, you know, the kill score is says otherwise, but I don't actually think they're actually behind here. They have the better tri-core setup. Loda doesn't actually have too much farm, and S4 actually hasn't been too big of a factor this game.
Yeah, KOXY really dominated them in the lane, and that was after S4 got the benefit of that courier kill for his team, had a really fast bottle. It is a tough matchup for Magnus, but KOXY did his job and did it well. Shutting him down a bit in lane, slowing down his farm, controlling the runes well. We've mostly seen him as the one who's picked them up. Blitz, the one thing I do want to point out, well, actually, Bulldog, he's missing his stacks here. That's something he's normally very consistent with, the Tria Micro, and I mean, Loda needs every bit of farm he can get, so this is going to hurt them a bit. This is something the Lions generally do better than any team, is stacking the Ancients, stacking the neutrals, so even if Loda's slowed down early, he can catch up quickly there.
Yeah, and actually with the Empower, it means that Loda doesn't actually have to go for a whole lot of farming items, but they are going to push out at bottom, and Ned's actually pretty well positioned here.
Oh, they're going to try and take a fight here. Burrow Strike, nope, just on creeps. Well, that was unexciting.
Yeah, it kind of just went down from there, right? You're like, oh, well.
No. Time to shut down for the evening, guys. And this is buying time, of course, for Ohio to farm towards an Assault Cuirass. He's already got the money for the plate mail or the recipe. Not too far off from it. If you're the Alliance, do you want to raid out this Aegis, or do you feel like they could still take a fight?
I think with the mech, especially since they have one and Orange doesn't, a fight wouldn't be too bad, but it's kind of coin flippish because it's really dependent on whether or not S4 gets a good reverse polarity off or not.
Speaking of his reverse polarities, this is a game where he's going to need a BKB. He's up against Disruption, Burrow Strike, these pretty much instant disables, and even something like a Queen of Pain Scythe of Vice. Once that comes out, it gets very difficult to reliably land a good RP, unless you're set up by an EGM Shackle, which just isn't something you can count on. So, something you mentioned earlier, the lack of reliable disables for the Alliance, at least a lot of them, that could really come into play as this game drags forward.
Definitely. Ake's got his little creep army. I don't actually know what they're doing right now. They're actually just kind of meandering back and forth.
Yeah, one of them's Loda's, I believe, is he does have
oh, did you just
Helm of the Dominator. Yeah.
Oh, he's just giving control to Ake. I was like, why does he have so many creeps?
Look at this. This is bromance. Bromance in action.
OTP, Loda plus Ake.
Which one's Loda's? That's what I want to figure out. Can you even tell? I guess whichever one has more HP.
Yeah, and actually, EGM's just going to farm. He's got a 4-staff now. Pretty good item. S4 has to be a little bit careful here. Everyone's off the map, but doesn't really look like Orange is too willing to take a fight.
You know, the one thing that a bit concerns me for Orange, we've talked a lot about some of the weaknesses of the Alliance's lineup, but for Orange, I feel they need a Blink Dagger on net. And right now, he's the 5-position support. He's actually nowhere near a Blink Dagger. Frankly, both of their supports are incredibly poor. That's something the Alliance is great at when they run the Chen, is giving space to EGM, and also finding the farm for the Chen, because obviously he's a good farming hero. I feel like you don't get this blink on your Sand King in the next 5-10 minutes, you could be in a lot of trouble as it heads late game, because truth be told, they don't have a whole lot of disables either, unless the Sand King is there.
Yeah, and Loda's actually almost getting really close to that BKB. I think that's what they're going to wait for, LD, before they force an engage, because, I mean, if he does get stunned, it's easy for him to get blown up by the Queen of Pain, especially since she actually picked up her Scythe of Vice now. That's
a big timing for KYXY. With the Scythe of Vice and with no BKB in sight on S4, he's actually not even going to go for it. He goes Force Staff instead.
Yeah, and actually, Bulldog, not too close to his. He's still about 875 gold off. Midas is coming up, though, soon, so for the next fight, both teams should get a Scythe of Vice, and I think what's really going to be dependent on who wins it is how well they both use the item. I mean, if the Queen of Pain goes in and she actually gets Sheep first, things could go disastrously for them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at both teams, and I feel like both of them are somewhat better at counter-initiating. If the enemy team jumps in, that's where you can drop a call down. If Magnus jumps in, that's where you can Scythe them. And similarly, if Queen of Pain goes in, that's where you can Shackle Shot her, perhaps. You can Sprout her. You can even Scythe her. Once you have that Scythe device, you can RP her. So I feel like for both teams, they're probably going to have a better odds at winning the fight, as long as they know it's coming, if they're the ones who are counter-initiating.
Yeah, Ned is so poor. Have you seen his items yet?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. No Blink Dagger in sight.
Yeah, he's actually not even going to have Arcane Boots for quite some time. He's only got 452 gold.
I feel like he can't go for them at this point, because if he does, he's not going to get a Blink until like the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, and that's going to make it so that KYXY is going to have to be the initiation. He's going to have to blink in Sheep, and that puts him in a really precarious situation.
It's the one downside to running a 3-carry or 3-core lineup, is sometimes there just isn't much farm for your supports, especially if it's a relatively even game, which, frankly, this one's very close. It's a dead set race. Only 2,500 gold lead for the Alliance, and that's basically the hand of Midas the Bulldog has. A little bit less, or a little bit more than that, and it's a big experience lead for the Radiant side, but as the game drags on, it does start to matter a bit less. Still important for some of these supports, but not so much for the carry heroes, who are all pretty even.
Yeah, Orange actually has a lot of farm on their 3-core. There's a Scythe of Vice, which is really what you want on that Queen of Pain to be useful. I mean, the Lone Druid has a Plate Mail, or Chain Mail actually. He's almost really close to an AC, LD.
I think he's actually
he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just picks it up. And then on top of that, Mushi, of course, is going to get his own farm. He's got a Shadow Blade and Drums, not too much farm to speak of since then. Does have that Ogre Club and the BKB recipe, so all 3 of those heroes are actually going to be really geared up for the next fight.
Well, they haven't used the Aegis to fight, and this is where you look at what... Oh, they've actually found Net in the jungle. They could have RP'd to bring him down, or at least gone for the kill that way.
They had no vision up there, though.
Yeah, I mean, you actually could have sucked him down from the cliff. I think he was close enough, but you don't really want to blow RP. I would necessarily, not with Roshan respawning in a few minutes, and only a Sand King at that. So Orange have done a great job of defending their towers. They still have their tier 1s up mid and bottom. You look at what the Alliance have, they don't have either tier 1 on the bottom side of the map, so Roshan map control advantage should go the way of Orange here.
Yeah, and actually, Orange isn't forcing a fight.
Oh, so there's going to be a Shadow Blade from Bulldog to start it off with a Scythe, but Mushi able to get just out of range. He'll be okay, and that means no Scythe of Vice on the board for a little while, looking at 25 seconds until it's back up. And the Alliance do not want to fight while that's down.
Yeah, they do have a sentry, but not a whole lot of reliable detection in case kind of runs out there. And Orange, they didn't force a fight, LD, so I think that means they're comfortable with taking this late. They did have the Aegis, but if you notice, they didn't even try to force a fight anywhere on the map. So I think they're okay just running this tri-core setup.
Oh, Shackle's going to connect on Mushi. Where's the follow-up? No, he'll Shadow Blade to the south. He even got purged, or daggered rather, but we'll be okay.
Yeah, and actually, a sentry ward is being placed down mid, but not a whole lot of detection aside from that.
I mean, if the RP hits all 3 cores, the Alliance will be able to take it late with ease, but if they're only hitting 1 or 2 hero RPs, if Loda's getting scythed up in the fights, it could easily go the other way. So it's a game where both teams have a great shot late game, and it comes much more down to execution than it does hero composition.
Yeah, and if actually S4 is able to lock down the supports and the disables, that means Loda doesn't have to pop the BKB so early, and he can rely on that chance crit, you know?
Yeah.
Because he's empowered right now, so how crazy would that be?
Yeah, of course BKB is going to remove Empower, but something where Loda can just wait to use it until he really needs it. And, well, Orange, truth be told, haven't made much happen over the past 10 minutes. They are still behind in terms of gold as well as experience. It's slowly rising, but still very even. It's all about this next Roshan, and I mean, we look towards it. Alliance have taken down an important strategic objective if you want to contest the next Rosh, because they've taken down that tier 1 mid. How do you feel about both teams' chances as we look towards the next Roshan?
I think Alliance, I mean, with the abilities they have, a lot of it is really kind of, I don't want to say luck necessarily, but they have to play it really well. I mean,
roll the
Shackle,
dice.
Yeah, Shackle, I mean, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. RP as well. You know, you're hoping to get a big RP off, but if you don't, then things get a little iffy. And then, I mean, they have the ultimate cross our fingers lineup with Loda. as that PA. If he gets a crit, there's a good chance they win a fight, and if he doesn't, they don't.
Yeah, PA that's not getting crits, it's a pretty massive modifier. It's 450%. It's going to be tough to win it without that. The Alliance, they know Roche is coming in a few minutes, so they're going to push top now. They want to try and take a tier 2, at least force Orange back, get some wards up. They do have a gem on the side of the Alliance. EGM's gone for one. Orange don't, because their supports are poor. They can't really afford a gem. They've got to prioritize the Sand King Blink Dagger now. I would honestly like to see Net getting the farm in a lane, even have one of the carries protective. Your lone Druid has an Assault Cuirass. I mean, he's not the most farmed in the world, but I don't think Orange is going to lack for damage in these fights. I think they're going to lack for control, and not giving Net any farm 31 minutes in, that's going to make these fights really hard for Orange to execute.
Yeah, and Net, okay, so we talked about it 4 minutes ago. He had 425 gold, and LD since then he has 497.
This is like his passive gold gain, if that. He's also buying wards still, I feel.
Yeah, he's actually kind of just gone down. It's one of those games that if they lose the fight because Sand King doesn't have Blink Dagger, it's one of those pubs, you know, like, why doesn't my support have any money?
Yeah, well, because he's been buying wards for you all game and you haven't been giving him any farm guys. It's obviously a team decision from Orange, though. This is a big event. They're not just going to say, no, Sand King, you don't get farm. Those are my creeps. But, I mean, it makes it hard for them in the Roshan fight. That's a great place to have a Blink and to be able to channel Epicenter. Oh, by the way, Ake, he's got 3 Centaurs, Conquerors right now, and an Ogre Frost Mage. Now, this is actually big. You give whatever hero whatever carry is in the front lines, like Loda, that Frost Armor, +8 and the attack speed slow, that can make a big difference and really neuter the physical damage output of something like a Lone Druid Bear.
Yeah.
It's a big late game creep, even though, I mean, you look at it, it doesn't seem impressive. This guy could end up being the hero for the Alliance.
Props to Ake, having to control 4 creeps.
Yeah, keeping him busy. The Bear's going to come in first. We'll take a power shot, and, well, the creeps are maybe going to be brought down here, at least taking some damage. They do get the D-ward off. They have a gem, but if they lose Centaurs here, that's going to be costly. They lose one, not a big deal. But it's now that delicate dance for the Roshan pit, and right at this moment, Loda picks up a Basher. This could be big. You jump in on that gyrocopter, you blow him up with a bash. Could die before he ever gets off his BKB.
Yeah, and Mushi actually picks up his BKB as well. He's almost level 16. The Lone Druid actually has the AC as well. This is a decent fight for Orange to take. I mean, the fact that your supports are getting absolutely nothing out of this, it's really dependent right now that your carries have as much farm as possible.
They're still not giving Net farm. He's got 600 gold. We're 33 minutes in. I don't know. It's going to be tough for them from here. And the other thing that you often have mentioned... Oh, Blink RP is going to catch out Mushi in the middle lane, and now blown up, sliced apart. 1,200 damage crit right as Roshan respawns. That could just have cost them a Roche. Does he have buyback? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, he does.
He does. He'll be forced to use it now, and if you're the Alliance, you back off, you're pretty happy, and now you wait, you camp and wait out the Roche.
Yeah, and actually RP's down. It was a good use of it, and I mean, Loda got the luck there.
But can Orange just punish this and take the Roche? Looks like they might be able to. Like you said, no RP. There is still a BKB on the Phantom Assassin. There is still a Basher. Well, we're going to see an initiation here. Disruption's actually going to catch out S4. He was scouting things out. He gets blown up. Does he have a buyback? No.
Loda crits!
Loda crits. Kills off KYXY very quickly. He's going to mount. Do they have more? They've shackled the Bear. Everything's being locked down, disabled, and focused one by one. Now there's no Bear. There's no Queen of Pain, although she's bought back as well. Burrow straight through. Catches Loda. Doesn't catch anyone else. Loda
crits
another
again.
crit and sent back to base 2. He can TP right back into the tier 2 mid, I imagine. He'll be doing it soon. And another shackle catching Ohio, latching him to a creep. This is going to buy time for RP to cool down. They haven't even scratched Roche. And right to the top lane goes Bulldog. He's going to push the tier 2. He's going to try to draw Orange back. And this is where having a Nature's Prophet really makes Roshan hard. Orange is going to try to go in. They do have a BKB on Mushi. There's still no RP. It's pulling down in 35 seconds. A blink in. They catch out S4 again. They're just stalling here. They get the Aegis. They get out. But it was a very expensive Aegis at that. They're going to lose a tier 2. They're going to be forced to buy back on a couple of key heroes. What do you make of the fight?
Wow, Loda rolling some loaded dice over there. That was actually pretty insane. I mean, he just blew up KYXY. Lumi's laughing at my terrible joke.
Oh, Scythe on Mushi. The back lines. He's been spotted out and blown up. There's your Aegis down the drain. Remember, they spent a lot to get that Shackle will connect. Okay, KYXY Bulldog is just going to TP away. Well, that's not a good use of the Aegis.
Yeah, and actually, Bulldog doing the correct thing there. He knows that they can't contest the Roshan anymore. Everything is down. No RP. Loda got sent back. No reliable way for him to get back into the Rosh pin time, so he takes that T2 out. Really opens up the rest of the lanes. I mean, the thing about playing against Nature's Prophet is if there's no towers left for him to take on the outside, then he can pressure your base.
Oh, Blink Scythe on the bottom lane. Bulldog, your cheeky shenanigans may have come to an end. A burrow straight through from Net. The kill should be secured. They didn't want to use the dust, but they have come prepared. They'll drop it in the end. And Net's broken the 700 gold barrier. It's almost like he's got a Blink Dagger.
I mean, I'm rooting for him, man. I feel so bad for him too, because he's been warding consistently, and he's had to get sentries for Bulldog. That's the worst thing. The best thing about a Shadow Blade is that it forces your supports to be poor on the other side, and EGM actually got a lane to himself. Remember when they rotated him top?
Right.
And they rotated him in mid as well, so, I mean...
They never
in terms
gave
of
Net
farm,
that.
Yeah, exactly. Net's been kind of just playing the passive, well, I'll sit behind my carry and wait all game. And if he actually gets an ulti off, you're gonna hear a clap from me.
If he gets an ulti off, I will personally order him some Domino's pizza when he goes back to Malaysia.
You heard it here first.
His avatar is a Domino's pizza icon, as you can see here. He loves his Domino's. Apparently, Orange loves it in general. So, Domino's, if you want to sponsor a team, compete with Papa John's, here you go. Orange Esports is your squad. But for the time being, Aegis is down, and we head really towards the late game. And this is where you look at a PA now with a double damage for it on Loda. Oh, my God. If he gets an Abyssal Blade, it's like you said, it's rolling the dice, but you get an Abyssal Blade, you have a couple of extra attacks to look for that big crit. I feel like the Alliance, this game, they could just win or lose on a single auto attack from Loda.
And I'm actually going to give Loda big props here. I mean, he played that fight perfectly. He doesn't immediately pop the BKB when he goes on KYXY.
Yeah.
He saves it. He uses the Empower to its full potential, and then when the fight actually breaks out, then he pops the BKB just so he can deal that damage out.
And the thing is, whenever you're up against something I wanted to talk about right before that gyro got picked off mid when Mushi died before the Roshan attempt is MKB is essential in this game. You need one on a gyrocopter to deal with a PA that has evasion. Sure, you have a Scythe device in your Queen of Pain, but you can't rely on that because you probably are going to have to Scythe S4. The Alliance are smoked up now. Even the Lone Druid. You need MKBs or the PA is deceptively hard to kill. And they'll go for one now with a Demon Edge on the Lone Druid Bear, but even then, the Bear might just get bashed and not even be able to auto-attack. So it's it's a rock and a hard place in a sense, and those buybacks as well, slowing down the MKB progression.
Yeah, and S4 is going to shoot out a Shockwave, kind of blows kind of ruins the fact that they're smoked, but...
Hey guys, we're here! It's a pretty obvious smoke, to be fair. Top lane's pushing out, bottom lane's pushing out.
Oh, that's 1700 crit.
Well,
I'm waiting for it.
The double damage rune's it's got half of its time left. Net's hiding in the trees. Has he been spotted yet? Nope, he hasn't. They're going to deward a sentry that's lurking here. Is it going to be that Bulldog teleport from behind? Shackle on the Bear, not going to connect. The Alliance, they'll just keep on rolling these dice, hoping for a big Shackle shot, hoping maybe for a crit when Loda jumps in. And if anyone gets caught out of position, that's where Bulldog comes in and then looks for the Scythe device. We might even see a Shadow Blade initiation. There is currently no gem.
And Bulldog's actually going to TP out. He's going for a DPS build now. Picking up a Chrysalis, I really like that. It makes him into a really, really heavy right clicker. And the one thing I want to note too with Alliance's lineup is they do have a lot of chancy abilities, but if they can get a big Shackle off on 2 heroes or even the Bear and
that's the fight.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you get an RP off, if any of those things happen, or if a crit happens, there's so many ways that Alliance can win this fight.
That's where you want Extinct to be in the back lines ready with a disruption. You'd love that for Net to be able to counter-initiate with a Blink stun, but there's no Blink Dagger. We're 40 minutes in. I said 40 minutes, maybe he'd have one by then. It feels like he might just not get one this entire game. Yeah. They're just putting no emphasis on letting him farm. To be fair, it's hard for him to farm away from a tower, but they've had enough time where if they just protected him at towers, he could have had a Blink by now. So it's a team decision. Let's see if it's going to cost them.
It seems a little weird by this point not to give him any sort of farm. I mean, he's got 5 CS right now, LD, at 38 minutes. And I checked that 8 minutes ago, and he was at the same amount of CS, so not even jungling. Actually just kind of waiting.
They do have 3 carries, but you get to a point where the late game isn't necessarily won by the carry. Sure, they might be the flashy ones who get the big crits, the exciting kills, but that extra burrow strike could make the difference because especially against someone like PA who's got lifesteal, if you're not chain stunning and locking Loda down, he's healing all of that back. And once he gets the Satanic, the next item I imagine on his agenda, since he's already picked up an Abyssal Blade, then he's got another life to work with as well as being really hard to kill.
Yeah, in most fights, actually, it's determined by the supports. Your supports represent your disables, right? Your low cooldown disables. I mean, Mag obviously has the RP, but Windrunner will have the consistent Shackle shot that'll probably come up at least once more during the fight. So if he's able to get 2 of those off and land big ones, that's a one fight for them. Whereas, the Shadow Demon is so weak and poor, and that also goes down too, and those are the reliable disables. I mean, you do have the Hex, but can you really just rely on a root?
Yeah, it's like you have to save the Hex for the Magnus, almost. Maybe you can go and load it if he's out of position, but the Alliance aren't really going off on their own too much. They're farming together as a pack behind Loda, waiting for our next Roshan, which is coming in about 4 minutes. In the meantime, it looks like they're going to be very careful not to give any kills away.
Yeah, what did actually Mushi buy? Did he had money?
I think he bought back at that Roshan fight.
Yeah, but he had 3,100 gold after. Unless I'm going absolutely insane.
He's completed Helm of the Dominator.
Oh,
so
okay.
Went for the lifesteal. Do you just go Satanic here? I feel like he needs the MKB more.
I mean, the issue though is if you go for the MKB, and Loda lands a crit, you know, your BKB it doesn't really do a whole lot against that.
That's true, but how are they going to kill Loda? He's got the Chen sandbag behind him. He has a Windrunner Force Staff to keep him safe. He's got a BKB. He's got evasion.
1800 HP on top of that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And S4 to counter-initiate as well. And now with Daedalus complete a Bulldog, all of a sudden you can't just worry about Loda. And this is where you need a multiple hero Burrow Strike. But can they find it? That's going to be tough. The Alliance slowly sieging this lane away. Bulldog will teleport top, and that will cue Alliance to back off a few steps. They don't want to get initiated upon right when he leaves the team. So Bulldog will push in top lane. They'll try and get this tier 2 down before the next Roshan. The Alliance slow rolling it, playing it very defensively and playing it safe. They're putting pressure on, but it's controlled aggression from them.
Yeah, and actually, Alliance is not looking too shabby at all. I mean, Abyssal Blade finished on Loda, meaning that BKB, you're just going to get locked down and killed immediately. And the later it goes, the more opportunities you give for PA to get a little stronger.
Smoke from Orange. They're going to look for a wraparound here. Net will lead the way, I do believe. No, it's Mushi in the front lines. The smoke actually gets revealed. And then they're going to back off, and now Net comes in. S4, will he get caught? The Burrow Strike's going to whiff. Now Net, Shackle isn't going to connect. They're still going in. Loda jumps in, and he's just going to blow up their main disable off the bat. Orange, oh no, this could be bad. Extinct in trouble. Skewer's going to catch a few. RP's going to catch more, and they're all going to drop. And then on top of it, KYXY jumps into what looks to be a totally lost fight. He'll get blown up. Mushi shackled to a tree. Ohio on the run. If these two die, it's going to be a team-wide power shot. How in the God's name
did that miss?
Not hit? I am so confused. Doesn't even matter. Bulldog is going to slam it home, and Orange are in a headlong retreat. Do they have buyback? If they buy back, is it going to matter? I mean, there's no RP. Blitz, this is so bad.
Yeah, I mean, look at how useless your supports were in that fight. I mean, they really couldn't do much, but imagine if you had a Blink SK there, that would have been a sure stun, and you would have at least started the fight on your terms. But instead, the SK misses the stun, he has no recourse, he just blows up, and then from there, the fight is just taken.
And who else is going to go first? You can't lead with the Lone Druid there. You can't count on Entangle. Shadow Demon maybe, but that's only going to buy time for the Alliance to get set for the fight. You need to lead with the Sand King, but it's hard to do it. And the Alliance, they're not even going to wait for Roche. They're going to go straight onto the racks. The Alliance, they're 2-0 already in the group stages. If they take this game, they might be 3-0. A long-range Blink, as well as a Force from S4, maybe fishing for a Skewer back. They'll take one lane of racks. Blitz. Are they going to take more? Queen of Pain, no buyback. Lone Druid, well, he's bought back, but what can he actually do? Does he even have a bear resummon? He does, but the bear just doesn't feel like it accomplishes much now. Mushi will come in, and they'll look to farm creeps, and that desperately hunting for a kill.
Oh, and a smoke comes out. There's no tower now.
It's good.
This is actually a really good wraparound opportunity for Alliance.
They're going to give them the old loop-de-loo, but nobody biting yet. Orange, and this makes the next Roshan so much harder for Orange to contest. You're now going to have to fight at the Roshan pit against a Magnus with RP, against a Windrunner with a Force Staff, against Prophetryats that can scout, and Loda's going to bring it down very quickly, and middle lane's pushing in now too, so contesting the next Roche gets very hard for Orange, and if they don't contest
Lone Druid at top,
they lose the game. Ohio farming the creep wave top. Are they going to jump
Definitely
in? A Blink,
back.
a Skewer. Remember, he just bought back. Ohio might go down here. In fact, he will. BKB even used from Loda to assure the kill, with no buyback on Lone Druid, with everybody not even in position to defend this fight. No Glyph either. Now Bulldog chasing forward, critting through onto KYXY. A Blink in from Loda, slaps him down, gets another. Burrow was there, catches out two, but where's the follow-up? Loda just doesn't care. Man mode from the little Phantom Assassin, or actually woman mode, because PA is a lady after all, and a very scary lady at that. She's slicing their heads off. Loda looking to take his team 3-0 with an ultra kill. They're opening the group stages in a big way, and they're going to start off day 2 even better. They take 2 lanes of racks. Orange, so many buybacks, so far behind now in terms of gold as well as experience. This feels like the death knell for their undefeated run.
Yeah, and a BKB up on Admiral Bulldog now. You might as well start calling the USA chants.
Oh man, the Swedes are out in force here today, and I mean, they love their McDonald's, so they're basically Americans at heart. And
I'd also have you note, since the fight is over, LD, Net was able to get his ultimate off in the middle of the fight.
I didn't even notice. That's how little damage it does to me.
I mean, that's a level 10 Sand King without a Blink Dagger. A bunch of BKBs on the other team. I mean, at this point,
it's impressive to get it off. It also doesn't matter if you get it off. That's the scary part. And there's your Satanic on Loda. And with this, he gets an Aegis. That's 3 lives for him. Plus the Chen send back, plus, I mean, even just the things like the Chen heal, the 4 staffs from his Magnus, as well as Windrunner to keep him safe. Good luck killing Loda, and good luck ignoring him. The one great thing about Phantom Assassin as a carry is she can just stick on anyone in a fight, especially with the phase drums build. You're really fast. You have the constant spammable Stifling Dagger, only an 8-second cooldown and a 50% slow. One of the best spammable slows in the game. And Phantom Strike, which is a fantastic kiting and chasing ability. You can't run from Loda, and you can't ignore him either.
Yeah, actually, shout out to Ice Frog. Loda's hit so many crits this game. Unbelievable.
Ice Frog might be a Loda fan too. Lord knows the Chinese are. They love this guy.
El God, isn't God says living legend, right?
He's one of the very few Western players that the Chinese will actually give that God status to as far as a foreigner player goes. And, well, they're going to go for Roche. Orange can't contest this. They do have all 5 heroes back, but this is going to be the final showdown. And you just look at the items. I don't really know what to say at this point. Loda is like
S4. Do you see his gold?
Yeah, 6K gold. I boots and travel buyback, I guess, wants to save for that. I don't know if it matters. I feel like Loda can just literally pop his BKB and go win the fight by himself.
Yeah, and if he crits once, the fight's over, essentially, because it'll be a 4-on-5 from then on. I mean, he's got 3 avenues of getting out. He's got a BKB, he's got the Aegis, and he has so much gold on top of that. He has 4K gold LD. And on top of that, Bulldog's got 5.2. This is the investment banking team.
That's okay, though. The investment bankers. That's what the Alliance is. The Alliance of very wealthy Swedes. They're going to shackle KYXY through the bear. He's blown up the crits, the damage, the pain. Oh, no. Orange are getting blown up. A great purge on Loda, but does it matter when Bulldog is that secondary source of damage? It does not. The Alliance are overrunning Orange. They've got 4 heroes on the sidelines, and they are going to drop their first game of the group stage for the G1 League Season 5 LAN Finals. What an outrageous display. The late game decision making. We mentioned the Alliance didn't quite convince us versus DK. I'm sold. This was pretty much perfect play through the mid game.
Yeah, the beginning was a little, they got that courier kill, and then, I mean, God, that went so perfectly for them. I'm going to watch that again. The courier kill, the gank at top by Ake, that decision was perfect for him to start up there. And then it was a little shaky as they weren't able to get any kills out. But then Orange, that trademark aggression style kind of worked against them in that sense.
The Alliance 3-0 through the group stages. The biggest Western hope out in force here today. And they're going to take their match versus Orange Esports. They've now only got 2 games remaining. If they win out, they're guaranteed a top 2 finish. And they could just sit pretty, waiting to see who's going to work their way through the bubble race. So an impressive showing from the Alliance. They take the match, take it convincingly. And Loda, he's a crit lord. And a bachelor, too.
Seriously, that was pretty insane, too, right? I mean, every time he jumped on KYXY, he just blew up before he could get anything off.
It shows you PA is, it's basically like an instant disable in these team fights, because you have a long-range blink, you jump in, you drop the Abyssal Blade, and that hero's dead. And Orange didn't have an answer for it. I mean, they didn't have a stun that goes through Magic Immunity. Sure, you have Entangle, you can't count on that. It's not a great solution anyway, you could BKB out of it. Whereas you look at Alliance, they had RP, they had Shackle Shot, and EGM, his Shackles were just doing so much work. Won them that last fight.
Yeah, Orange caught with their shoelaces untied, and they're actually going to just kind of drop that game, especially that initiation at bottom, where the Sand King misses his stun, and then from there, things just go disastrously.
I can't even fault Net. I didn't feel like it was his fault. He didn't have a blink. What could he do at that point? I mean, maybe he just decided not to farm. I'm pretty sure the team said, we're going to prioritize our carries, and team decision cost them in the end. Blitz, your thoughts on the Alliance? Do you think they can do it? Clean 5-0 sweep the rest of the way?
I mean, they played that mid game and that late game. There are very few teams that play like Alliance do in that sense, where they're so organized. They always know where their opponents are. They don't waste smokes either. They're just really efficient with how they use it. I mean, that early gem pickup as well, that made things even worse for Net, where he couldn't actually even get any items because he was spending so much money on sentries and warding.
And then they're just getting dewarded.
Exactly. I really like that gem pickup when you're slightly ahead, and then from there, the game just kind of snowballs. Alliance, I'd like to see a slightly better laning phase from them. It was a little, I mean, they did give up a few kills that they didn't have to.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, what a performance.
They trust in their ability to make better decisions mid-game, late game. They play defensively. In Bulldog, we trust. Bulldog, Loda, the boys delivered. The Swedes, they're now 3-0 in the group stages. Gods, Lumi, over to you. Your thoughts?
Well, what a fantastic way for Alliance to kick off day 2. A great game by them, really convincing, especially like they said in the mid to late game. Early game, of course, they got off to a great start. Let's talk there. They got a career kill level 1. How big is that?
What's with all these level 1 advantages? Now, the first one against CK, they earned
strategic.
it. Yeah, great one. This one, freebie handed. How big was it? Free bottle instantly for Magnus on the mid lane. Lane is 1 because Queen of Pain can't get her bottle until 3 minutes in. Admiral Bulldog upgrading to Ring of Basilius. That's absolutely huge. The bear harass, shrug it off. Your Treants tank a lot more. They harass a lot harder. That's a big win for Admiral Bulldog.
And even in the tri lane, you're looking at supports. If they want, they can get a level 1 magic stick. They get their boots a lot faster. All in all, that career kill essentially meant Orange's early game laning stage, they couldn't win the laning stage.
But they did. They did okay on the bot lane.
They did
were
okay,
able to shut down Loda. And that's where, for me, Alliance would have taken the entire tournament. Becomes a little bit shaky. They had huge advantages, but they weren't able to close it out. They did eventually win, though. I'm not sure I'm too hard on Alliance.
Alliance were so convincing late game though.
Yes.
They played that late game absolutely perfectly. They looked like, I mean, they are a seasoned veteran team.
And that's where you have continued stacking of the Ancients, continued stacking of neutrals. LD and I are agreeing that, hey, they're the best team in the world doing that. And when you accrue an advantage like that over 40 minutes, you just outright your opponent. Yeah, on one side you have Aki, who had a 5-0. He had a mech, he had a big army, he has items. On the other side you have EGM on 4-staff and Gem. And what about the dire supports? They were on food stamps.
Man.
They had Earn, maybe? They had boots?
They had Earn on the Shadow Demon, and Sanking had boots and Bracer. At one point, the supports on the Alliance side had 10k more net worth towards the end, which was 4-staff on Windrunner. I think 4-staff was mech on the Chen.
4-staff on Windrunner.
Yeah, it was just absolutely incredible difference. The supports having those items. If Orange have a 4-staff on Shadow Demon, if they have Sanking with a Blink Dagger, some Strength Treads, some Braces to make him tankier, it's a different late game.
It really is. Remember the last fight where they loot the Brown, try to gank S4? The Burrow Strike barely missed. Blink Dagger, instant hit, they could have initiated, perhaps kill S4, and then collapse on the enemy team. Remember the late game fights? One Shackle shot, instant kill? That wouldn't happen if you force your allies away. And it just...
They need 4-staff.
They need 4-staff.
Ghost Scepters, anything against the PA. Orange, they still had a long time. It was actually because they had 3 core heroes, all who are farm worlds. Like you said, they did decently enough early game that it got to a point where their core heroes were actually more farm than Alliance, but that was mostly Mag. Mag didn't have a lot of farm, but Mag doesn't need farm. All he needs is that Blink Dagger. He hit the RPs, S4. It's really one of his best heroes.
It's not just the RP, the Blink Skewer multiple times. Remember they smoked outside, waited for Lone Druid to hit a couple creeps on the top lane. Blink Skewer, instant win game.
Yeah, it got so many pickoffs there. So that's going to conclude Game 1 here for Day 2. We have Alliance going up to 3-0 in the group stage as far as their results. Orange, they're 2-1. They're still in a good position. They've got a couple more games later on today. We're going to basically get through all the group stage matches. We'll take a quick look at the schedule, I believe. Yep, this is what's coming up. We've got Invictus... Oh, sorry, this first match. LGD up against Team Liquid. It's going to be coming up shortly. We're going to have a quick break before getting to that game. We have Invictus Gaming up against Team DK, and then LGD versus Alliance. The two teams who are both red hot. Definitely looking forward to that one. But as far as what's coming up next, we're actually going to take a quick look at some highlights from yesterday, guys. We do have a recap video. We missed it at the start of the broadcast because it wasn't quite ready, but we do have a recap video from yesterday. For those of you who are just tuning in today, you can catch a look at what you missed yesterday.